Okay, let's get back into it. Today's Friday, the 26th. I didn't make a video yesterday. I didn't take any trades yesterday. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over yesterday's move and today's trading. Today I took two losses, and wiped out a nice £344 on the day. Basically, just got it wrong. So I'll go into that. But before that happens, my chart's a fucking mess right now, as you can see. I'm just going to keep all of this here for now, basically. But yeah, in terms of yesterday's trading, which was this session, what I'm going to do is, right, so I marked out the high above that, the Asia high, the London low, the Asia low, and the low beneath the PM session the day before that. So that would be Tuesday's PM low. If you note here, there's a slight volume imbalance, and these were my bearish draws. But I felt more bullish yesterday. We had a high here on the lower time frame, and this high up here, which as you can see was taken today. And then also we've got this high up here. So why didn't I trade yesterday? Well, as per my mistake earlier in the week where I traded before 9:30, I wanted to wait until 9:30 to take this trade, or to look for a trade. I felt the London low could be a target before the full move upwards, hence there, and hesitation had skewed my results. If I placed in line with the model, TP would have hit at 9:31, and then I waited until 9:47 for a rejection, but no trades today as the rejection was not clean enough. Error I'm making is I get nervous that the opening range breakout won't play out after a loss. Keep executing going forward. So today, executed two trades, and I was just wrong today. So it is what it is. But in terms of the actual setup, you can see we're fairly bullish. We had quite a lot of imbalances here, and obviously the London and the Asia low, which did get taken today rather than yesterday, which is a bit unfortunate. But yeah, so pretty much from the 8 o'clock 15-minute candle, that's these three candles here that I've marked out, midpoint was there, price broke down and then up. So between 825 and 850 we were below that range, and then coming into the open, traded up above that range, back down. Now the trade would have been lovely, however, like I say, I hesitated and I didn't take the trade because it was at 9:15. This would have worked, and that would have been a nice little 3-1. Obviously the balance isn't going to show properly, not 102 units, but took quite a big loss today, so balance is going to be a bit skewed. We'll say 2.1. It was around that sort of amount, so it could have been a nice 460, 470 yesterday. But yeah, so following that, price just completely went up at the open, and I was looking for a rejection off of this high. As you can see, one candle closed, second candle closed, and then the one after that ripped upwards. So it wasn't enough for me to take a rejection short back to the midpoint or down below. And yeah, I left it at that pretty much. So that was that. And then today, what did we have? Whoops. So what I'll do is I'll get rid of this Fibonacci for now. So I did same process going into the start of the day, marked out the London high, London low, Asia low, and yesterday's PM low. We also have, the London and the Asia low from yesterday, which you can see price has absolutely ripped through today, going into the previous daily low as well. So I'll take this indicator off as well whilst I'm at it. Pretty much, what did we have and what was my mistake today? Well, we had a nice volume imbalance here, which means, when it's just wicks and there's no bodies of the candles. So that was an initial draw And pretty much, I made some notes somewhere. Where are they at? There's a lot of notes. I'm going to remove them now. But they are on the chart up here. So this was the second one, and this was the first trade. So we'll bring that in there. Perfect. Right. So my initial thoughts were, from the 8 o'clock candle, I thought price would trade up to this gap, come back down to the midpoint, and then come up to this high. Simple idea, yeah? Especially since we were trading above the range. And I noted that there was a 1 hour fair value gap below, well, near where my stop loss was. So my stop loss, I'm talking about this gap here, right here. So you can see that's where my stop was, just below that. Just to give it a bit of room, I had like 6 points stop loss today. I think, just double check. So it's like 9:52, 9:40. It was like 9:51 I got in, and 9:45 was the stop. So it's a 6 point stop loss for 10:52, 10 plus 6, 18 points TP today. So yeah, from there, the retrace to midpoint to take the two highs above. So that was my idea. We take them. I was targeting the highs. My stop loss below the 1 hour fair value gap. This has been traded into at 9:28. So what happened before then? I'll go into what happened. So I took the entry before the AM session, which I think going forward, I am just not going to trade until within 5 minutes. That's going to be something that I take forward. I'm actually going to make a little note of that right now. No trades until 9:25. Cool. So we got a note of that. Because it's difficult to tell, and I know you can do it by volume. Like, you can see the volume, even on a 5 minute, it's not great. I think on a 15 minute, it's going to all be, well, there's a few of them above 1,000, but yeah. Pretty much what we got was, on the 1 minute, was it the 3 minute? I think it was the 3 minute. Or the 5 minute. No, so it was the one, right. So where are we now? All over the shop, that's where we are. I just zoomed in there and I've lost it. So this fair value gap here formed, it might have been a 5 minute, but yeah, so you can see price breaks out, holds above this range, pushes up again. Now, I was thinking of taking a trade here, but at the time, I hadn't really put 2 and 2 together, that moving my stop to a tighter stop to then target, you know, that, and then maybe a stop like that for 3 to 1 would have impacted my profit. So I didn't take this because the 5 point stop would have been too much and not a great risk to reward. And it was also before the entry, and I would have liked to see price come higher. As I said, I wanted to target up here. So I didn't take this, and this could have been me done for the day by 8:51. Yeah. So that's one trade. But at this point, price was doing what I was expecting, and it was trading between these ranges, and I was still waiting for a midpoint tap. Now we got that midpoint tap, and at this point I didn't have a limit order set, so I had a market order, and you can see that put me in just at the top of the range, which I was fine with. I was fine with that. And yeah, pretty much we just didn't get a reaction off of this range, and then price just traded through, coming into the open 928, 929, stopped out 930. So that is that. 6 points, I think. It was actually 9 points due to slippage, because you can see this candle was big. So that one cost me a little more than I had wanted to, which isn't ideal, but because of slippage and spreads, just the size of that candle, the broker took me out a bit lower. So it actually took me out. Where did I get taken out here? Let me just double check. So 4, 3. So I actually got taken out here below my stop, which isn't ideal, and it happens. So yeah, that was the first loss. Now we have that, yeah. And if we also look at this range, you know, between the Asia low and the high that we created yesterday after the PM session, this doesn't play out often, but when it does, it's very, very powerful. This is more of an ICT movement. So we reverse that. You can see that price sits perfectly on that optimal trade entry, which is the 0.705 range to the 0.79 entry criteria there. Now, this is only important, for me at least, in the context of, you know, we had filled this gap here and we're trading on a smaller range. Now, like I say, this doesn't play out all the time. I used to trade with this a little bit more. I don't use it as much, just because it was quite infrequent, and it was only really when you get big days like this where price really moves that it came into play, and it would just throw me off quite a bit, like just trying to figure out the range for it and everything. Yeah, you can see that works pretty nicely there. Price disrespects the midpoint, and then from the open drops straight down to the bottom of that range. 0.5 standard deviations, 1 standard deviation, and then 1.5 standard deviations. And then normally, if it's a really, really big move, you would target like 3, and that would be massive. So that's what this is here. That was this idea. The initial idea was, you know, to that, or even the bottom of that range, that would have been a 4.3, 8.2, or 1 standard deviation, 12.33, or 1.5, 16.31 to 1. So I did have this idea mapped out. This is the thing. But due to the fact that I'd literally just been stopped out of a trade, I'm going to get rid of this again for now. Literally just been stopped out of a trade. And yeah, I mean, just made a mistake today, and price was just too bearish, and it just wasn't having any respect for the lows that had been created. You know, I was looking for a bounce off either one of these levels here, which you can see didn't really happen. Just continued to trade through them, and finally I marked out this one in orange because this was yesterday's AM low, and I was thinking, you know, maybe we see a bounce off here, which then brings me on to my second trade. So wherever the notes have gone, just don't want to add an alert. So we'll move this, and pretty much, right, so this is the new notes for the second trade. And then if we go into the 1 minute time frame, so pretty much what I was looking for a reaction off one of these levels to then go long and just target a 3 to 1 bounce. There was this inverse fair value gap created here, and there was an inverse fair value gap created here. What I should have waited for was a break of structure to confirm that this was a bullish move. But what happened was all these bodies of candles, just remove the drawings for a sec, you can see they don't really clear this body here, which means continuation lower. So my entry was off of, so we created that there, waited for this candle, and then it was this candle trading back into the inverse that I took the entry on at 10 o'clock. to try and catch like a 10 a.m. reversal. As you can see, I ran about 130 pounds like floated profit, and then it just came down, just continued to disrespect the inverse, no breaker structure, and I was stopped out. So that was the second trade, and that was 5 points, that trade. So that one was £162 loss. That is that trade there. Big reflection on the screen, but yeah, £162 loss. So that brought my total loss to the day to 344. Probably my reddest day in a while. Not had a great week, to be honest, but nonetheless, it's perfectly fine. There's areas that I can learn from. And then, yeah, done for the month. Went for the bounce off the 1 minute fair value gap near the 0.5 standard deviation after London, Asia, and previous New York low taken. Initial move up followed by a retest, and then inverse fair value gap disrespected and traded down through. Done for the month. Lesson here is it's harder to pick reversals than continuations without sufficient confirmation, and there wasn't a breaker structure here. So yeah, going back to what I said about the Fibonacci range, that 0.5 standard deviation, pop that up here again. So we do that. You can see on the 1 minute, so that's this line here. Price comes near that, 2 candle closures up, 3 candle closures up. If we had got one above that, then it would have been a bit more likely, but price, as I say, was very bearish today, and unfortunately even the bullish unemployment claims, they were less than expected, less than forecast, it's just caused the market to drop. So yeah, bit of a stinker today, but it's one of those, you take the losses, you learn. And yeah, following this, so as we come into 10:15, you can see yesterday's London low gets taken, Asia low, PM low, and I was thinking surely not this low down here as well. That's very far, because if we look at the 1 hour chart, you know, that's a long way for price to drop. Like, it's possible, but yeah, ultimately what happened was we end up trading into this imbalance here, and then we got a reaction from that. So if we note with this indicator here, that then traded below the previous daily low. So I was looking for one more setup, like one more trade using the previous daily low, the previous daily high model, and yeah, I just didn't take it because pretty much this breaker structure, as I learned from my trade just before, isn't clear enough to signal that this is a bullish move and this is more of a continuation. What I mean by that is, so we got this 15-minute inverse fair value gap off of the reaction from the previous daily low being taken, which is a good sign. That's the first step to this model. So this is different to the break and retest. And then I marked out the top of this candle. Now I didn't mark it in full, like a full line, because it wasn't yet clear. And on the 5 minute, you can see price just sort of dilly-dallying around that level. And there is also a fair value gap here. So I was conscious that this could be the case, and obviously after seeing all the bearish price action today, that, you know, I don't really need to take another trade here. And as you can see, trade back down into the inverse fair value gap, trade through it, retest, and back down lower. So that at least was the right decision there today. But yeah, so that is the last 2 days of trading. Unfortunately, we didn't catch this one. This would have been beautiful, and yeah, it is just what it is. So I will be doing a monthly review separately to this, and I've just bought a subscription on TradeZeller, just so I can more clearly, journal my trades. It just helps to have it like this, when you can see each week, like the days, like physically in front of you, rather than looking at a spreadsheet where you're just looking at this. Now I will do something similar to this, like my positives and my learnings and whatnot. But I think it does it using AI. It like tells you with the data what's going on, your win rate, percentage. As you can see, this is the net P&L on the live account since I opened it in, end of 2024, in December 2024. So it is down quite a bit, but it's one of those, as I grow the account, that will be quite quickly turned around. It's just a matter of doing so. So my monthly recap will dive more into this. I'm gonna have a bit more of an explore around this platform, because I literally just got it, like, I don't know, 15 minutes ago, right before recording this video. So there is that. And yeah, overall on the week, this is a red week. Took 4 trades this week, all losers, 510 down on the week. And then on the month, if we go current month, that is minus 629. So about 80% of my losses this month have been this week, which means, for the majority of the month, it's been fine. But these 2 trades losing today haven't helped. Nonetheless, we learn and we move. So yeah, I'm not going to trade tomorrow. Like I said, I was done for the month here, and I've written it down. So I am done for the month, and tomorrow's Friday with Red Folder News. So I'm not going to trade that. Just regroup over the weekend, and then come back for March a bit stronger. I think that is pretty much everything covered. I am anticipating these highs to get taken at some point. Unfortunately, it wasn't today. Like, we've got these 2 here, plus that. But yeah, it's just things to learn. A bit unfortunate. But yeah, I think that is everything. NASDAQ, I marked out a couple lows getting taken, to see what the reactions were like off this. And as you can see, same sort of story. Yeah, I think that's everything. To be fair, I will keep an eye on this, how this moves, because previous daily low, previous daily high model can be pretty reliable when it sets up nicely. But like I say, I'm not guaranteeing I'm going to take a trade there. So that's going to be everything for me today. Very, very raw and transparent session today. Transparent video. This is just how it's going on. And I think I'm going to go, I'll record the monthly recap now, and then that will get uploaded maybe like Saturday or Sunday. So with all that being said, I'll see you then.